Hello, everyone. Hey. 1, 2, 3. It's all good. Yeah, just let me take a look before we start. So, hello, everyone. Hello once again. Hi, Canada. Flagstaff. Hello. Glad you could make it. Point as well. Germany. Nice, Europe. We're in the neighborhood. Chicago. Very nice. Not that near, but glad you could make it. I'm sure your time zone is not favorable one. Steve. Okay, so let's kick this. Let's kick this migration to Cypress. So I'll just Portland. Hi, Sebastian. Glad you could support us. 1 second. If you hear any background noise, it's me yelling. So Dan, please make sure there is no background from myself.
I think everything's looking good for now.
I got some crazy echo on my side, but I think that's fine. Okay, so I think we could kick it off. So thank you once again for joining and doing this topic with us. As some of you already know, and the rest of the guys, good to meet you. My name is Marko. I'm the leading man in the company called the Cert.io from Belgrade, Serbia. We've been consulting, doing QA consulting for 9 years now. 8, and been in the QA business for some time. My colleague Dejan is, hello Switzerland, glad you could make it. We were doing a QA consultation for various type of clients, solving various type of short-term and long-term issues, eventually handing over to their internal teams for further development and improvement. But our main point and main task was always been to solve the problem in the most efficient and simple way and hand over to their internal team for, like I said, further development. We're based in Europe, in the Republic of Serbia, city of Belgrade. And today we're going to cover the not that new and not that hype topic of data-driven testing with Cypress, which I think is a very, let's say, it's an extremely nice topic. You will have some very nice results, as we recently had with one of our customer, and that's the reason why we choose this topic instead of some other that may be more, I don't know, more, let's say, focused or AI centered. Hi, Philippines. Nice. Hi, Michael. So I hand over to my colleague Dejan, and then we can kick it off. Dejan.
Hi everyone, I am Dejan Zivkovic. I work as a QA automation engineer at Assert QA, and today I'm going to help Marko present a little bit on data-driven testing. So let's kick it off here.
I see what you did there.
So Marko, why are we going to talk about data-driven testing today? You mentioned that we had a lot of success in recent months with some clients transitioning into data-driven.
Yes, in this particular case, we have let's say, all-around framework set up for a particular customer who partially in their functional end-to-end testing framework, they're using Cypress, of course. They were lacking of some, let's say, how we call that, some precise scope coverage. So we have a particular requirement, and then we have a defined scope with a finite list of things that needs to be checked. It's a huge list, but it's still finite. It isn't a creative list. It's not list you can add items to or remove items to freely. It's a specific list, and then they needed this to be checked thoroughly, and we suggested and implemented a data-driven testing approach, particularly, and their full framework and existing test cases. This approach, well, completing the cycle and making sure the application is tested with this approach as well, complementary to standard, regular, functional end-to-end testing from user perspective.
Yes. So we're also going to talk what are the situations that force us to move forward from the classic approach. I am sure I speak for a lot of people when I say that I've been in situations where I had to go back to tests that I've written months ago and start to maintain them because there were some changes in the application, some changes maybe added fields or something similar, something taken away, or just a change in the business logic. And then when you start to maintain those tests, you notice that there's a lot of redundancy. There's a lot of copy pasting going on that you've been doing over a long time, maybe without even noticing. And you actually have similar flows, similar code, but different data driving it. So the idea is to kind of separate the data from the test logic so that we can have components that we can reuse later, and that is easier to read, easier to maintain, and easier to scale over time.
Pretty much it looks like that, right? When we started that project and project before that and before that, we kind of perfected our approach with this. So let's see what's next. Continue, please.
Yes, the first thing that we do naturally is start with hard-coded values that bring us some results immediately. And then as our test suite starts to expand, we basically move away from that and start to use some structured objects. And then later we realize that what we actually need is to have external data, which can be JSON files, CSVs, maybe even some APIs and stuff like that, depending on the project. If we can connect to databases, etc. There's a lot of options. So we can talk a bit about the benefits of data-driven testing. So we mentioned some of them. We get cleaner test files, we get easier maintenance, we get less redundancy, less copy pasting, and we get data that can be reused in multiple tests.
That's amazing, Dejan. I like your slides. Can we see some live coding as well in this to support all these nice slides and nice
we're gonna move
colors and stuff.
As we move forward, we are actually gonna show a little app on our website, and we're gonna do a little live coding session to show a simple data-driven approach.
Yeah, so it's not like, yeah, here's the test, it works good, trust us, So I think the demo will be just fine to see how some important things can be covered pretty easily and pretty effectively. And Cypress is really an amazing tool to do that as well. Yeah.
Yes, it is. So I mentioned forms. So let's talk a little bit about where actually data-driven shines. What's the strong side? So yeah, anywhere where you have some type of registrations or forms that you need to fill out, where you can choose different variations. Anything that's role-based, where you have different users with different permissions, different roles, a lot of financial stuff like transactions with different currencies, different types of transactions with different vendors, but still maintaining the same flow, just different data. And obviously we have the APIs.
So anywhere where the list of option is limited. So I think that would be one of the, in my personal opinion, though, it will be one condition or circumstances around the requirements where some list of inputs or test parameters is limited and structured in a particular way. So instead of us doing some other test approaches, we can use test-driven for our data to drive the tests, right?
Yeah, and actually on the projects that we are working on right now and that we have been working on recently, we've had situations where we have a similar flow for multiple items that have different values, different pricings. And there was probably several hundred items. And instead of writing many lines of code and many different files through data-driven testing, we can basically, with one small file, create, including all the variations, more than 1,000 tests very quickly.
Oh, I'm not sure I remember this part. That was bad. Okay.
We will move into Q&A a little bit later, but
all right.
Before that,
before you continue, no worries. So regarding maintenance, so what about the maintenance? Let's talk about the data-driven test maintenance. How do you maintain such a test cases? How do you update them? How do you edit them? How do you how do you make them up to date?
So the great thing about them is that we, as I mentioned before, we are separating the data from the logic. So when you have to make changes, you don't have to make them in multiple files, dozens of files. You have to make them in just maybe one or two places. So for example, if we have a registration form where we're going to show that a bit later in the live demo that has different countries and something changes over there, you just change your data. You change one instance and it applies to multiple tests.
Okay, so maintaining the test data, right? You're actually maintaining your test case or test cases as being products of iteration, right? So in your particular case, when you have a list of countries, it's not like you get a new country every day, or you can make up a country. So it's a finite list. It's a defined list. And it has the end. It has the particular items in it. So in case you don't want something from a particular country, you just disable that or remove that entry from your test data source, and then this test will not be executed. This iteration will happen, right?
Of course, and it also goes in the different direction. What if something changes with the test flow, with the business logic, or maybe some new field is introduced or something like that? You don't have to change multiple files. You just change the file that drives the logic.
Okay.
Or contains the logic. Sorry.
Well, I'm daring you to show us.
So we're just gonna hop onto our website, which is currently having some major reconstruction done. So don't pay attention to those parts.
Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Was that the line? Don't pay attention to the website under the active development, please. Just the practice page.
Yes, so for the purposes of this demo, we created this practice page and we have this little data-driven user registration. So what we see here is form that you've probably seen 1,000 times before. It's a little registration that has a first name field, last name field, an email address. That's all standard. And it has a drop down where you can select the country that you're coming from. So obviously you have a lot of choices here, basically every country. And what we did is we randomly generated 2/3 of the countries to be banned and only 1/3 of the countries to actually be allowed to register from. So,
Well, why did you do that?
well, we had to make some points.
Okay. All
It's
right.
it's our business logic, business decision.
You have some weird business decision logic, but
Oh yeah.
it should mimic, like, there is a, you know, there is a finite list once again, and there is two options, right? You can either have a,
You can
why
be
don't you remove, just ban the countries, or countries that you cannot log in or register?
well, removing them from the list would maybe defeat the purpose of having the ability to have those banned and allowed countries. We want to make sure that our app is proof from that side um, that we can test these scenarios.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. There are some, what we saw in last year. There are some. There's a marketing logic behind that in some cases, where they're opening country by country or something like that. So they want to have all countries there, and they want to capture all the, you know, registration form currently. We say banned countries, but countries that are not ready yet. Let's say, especially payment processing, fintech area, where they need to do some compliance and do some legal stuff before they're in their particular market. So, but they don't want to, you know, discourage, or they don't want to put off the people who are interested in the software. So they let you in, but they cannot register you, but they just like let you in and do something. I think I've recently used one similar software that was like, yeah, we're not there yet, but, you know, stay tuned and maybe come back. So it's also always a nice message then, like, there is no country, there is no option for me to register. What is this?
Yeah, it's a coming soon situation.
Okay, makes sense. Proceed, please. Sure.
So the classic. Let's move to actually to some coding. So this is, let's take a look, or actually we'll take a look later at the JSON file. The classic approach, what would be the classic approach? It would be to visit this page. So let's visit the page. So having some cursor issues. So let's import our faker, and let's create a cursor. Really knows how to help sometimes when he wants to. So let's just call it registration. And we'll change this later. So the classic approach would be to go and actually visit the page. Let's get back to the page and fill in all these fields and pick one country, one that is, say, banned and one that is allowed, and then get coverage from that side. So let's try and do that now. So we have the first name input, And we're going to actually get some, since we have the faker, we're gonna get some first names. We're gonna get some, cursor really doesn't know how to help. So we're gonna get a first name, a last name, and an email from the faker, just for the purposes of this demo. In other scenarios, maybe we can use some real users, real emails. So let's type in our first name, and we're just gonna fix the selectors, I guess. Oh, how AI can be helpful. So we have the last name here, and is it?
That's a different workshop. Do not put that.
We're stealing materials from the guys that were doing the last couple of days. There has been some really great workshops and presentations. So that's email input. Yes, it is. And let's see what's our drop down. It's gonna be country select. Oh, cursor knows everything.
I think we're gonna do something like a special, training for the front-end engineers. How to tell your AI to put data CI in your elements or the front end.
Oh yeah. So I think that, let's say Aruba should be banned. Not quite sure.
Why?
I don't know. I would never ban Aruba. So let's try it here. CI. Now let's actually pick Aruba and see what happens. So when we register for, yes, it's banned. So registration from Aruba is not possible. So once we get here, we want to assert that we see this little message. Yeah, but it's not gonna be this one. And it should also contains sorry, a little trackpad issue. So, and we're gonna do another should here, and I'm gonna do contain. So let's get our Cypress open. I think that's everything I need. Let's try to run our test and see what actually happens. We've made a mistake. Let's see where the mistake is. First name, last name. Maybe just a moment. This always happens in the live demos.
Oh, I like the demo curse.
Yeah,
I haven't had one for some time. Yeah, it's always nice.
Always.
I was wondering what is going to happen today, really. It's perfectly fine. So while you fix it, I'll just take over for a second and just point out that this would be a like a proper. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I forgot the brackets
Oh,
as
okay.
usual.
You take over, and then I'm gonna point out a thing later. So
So
please
yeah,
continue.
thank you. We have one positive test case where we actually checked that a single country, for in this instance Aruba, is banned. So again, we're talking about the classic approach. So what's the next step? The next step is to take a country that is allowed and try that once. Create another it. So let's do it right now. We're not gonna pick Aruba. Let's say Argentina, I believe is good. And let's actually try it over here. Argentina, register user. Yeah, Argentina is good. So we need to assert a different message. So it's gonna be actually over here, not an error title, but a success title, sorry. And it's obviously gonna be a different message for us. So now we have two test cases. Let's see if they both run. Yeah, they both run. So yeah, now we have two test cases. Basically, we proved that the functionality works. It shuts down the banned countries and it allows the countries that are actually allowed. But Marco, this is the part where we can talk about test coverage because we have around 200 options and we've only tested two, right?
Yeah, I mean, this what was, let's say, a particular ask from a customer was like, okay, that's nice. I mean, equivalence partitioning approach or taking a exemplary and making a quick test, like if something from allowed countries passed, if one country pass, then it surely mean that all other will pass as well. I mean, the registration will pass, will continue. And if one of the bad countries um, the registration will not go through, then it surely mean that um, all other banned countries, the users will be prevented to register. But that is actually an assumption, right? That is how we do something, how we sometimes test some particular logic, and we can be happy with it. But in this particular case, we don't have much room for mistake, and we must guarantee that because of the compliance legal issues or some other important stuff, not just the will of product owner or um, product manager. Uh, these conditions must be checked every day, every month, every week, on demand, and all the iterations must be checked as well. So we need to make sure that that somebody forgetting to update the database or somebody some logic in between that contradicts each other does not pass. So we need to make sure that we need to check every country actually, and it would be senseless to create 246 it blocks, right?
Yeah, it would be a lot of code duplication, basically only two or three lines change. We would have a huge test file that is basically a series of copy paste events with just a change in the hard coded values. So this is an example where data driven actually shines. What we can do is let's take a look at our country's JSON file. It's the file that drives it. So it's basically a simple JSON that just has the names, the codes. We actually don't even need the codes, but
You
and
need
we
to
have.
have, sorry to interrupt, you need to have this data. You need to discuss with your dev team, like, hey, can you give me the test data or the data actually that app reads and make a decision based on, right?
Yes, you need to have that good communication between the teams. If the communication isn't there, then the work is going to be a lot harder to do properly.
Not just only that, and supporting you on that one, but also making sure that there is only one source of truth. So application will drive its logic based against this data, not something else. So yeah.
Yes, we need to know that it's not outdated, that it's not false information, that it's the newest version. So we always need to have the right source of data. So in our file, we basically have the names of the countries and we have banned true or false. So we can use we actually have it on the website if someone wants to play around with it. So over here, you can download it. So what are we going to do? We're going to import that into our, thank you, cursor. We're going to import it into our test. And we're just going to we're going to do this. We're going to do countries, and for each country. So we're going to get, let's see what cursor does with it. Now we'll do it on our own. Just a second here. So we're going to get our test to actually select every single country from the list. And we're going to tell it if the country is banned, then we have one outcome. And if it's not, then we have a different outcome. So let's comment this part out and see what happens in Cypress. So we're getting somewhere. Let's improve it a little bit by changing the name. We're gonna need different ones over here. So let's say, registration from. This is, let me check, good enough, I think. Let's try that again. So now it's running through the JSON file, using it to feed our test. And we are going to get a test for every country in the file. So what did we do here? We actually created in 27 or 28 lines a test that will go to every country in the world and check if they can register or not. So we're getting rid of that code duplication. We would have probably thousands of lines with the other approach. We're saving time, and we're creating a test that tomorrow, when we have to come back to it, and we will in a month, 2, or next year, something is going to change. It's much easier to read, it's easier to understand, it's easier to maintain, it's easier to keep up to date. And it takes less lines of code, no duplication, no issues on that side. That's gonna run. It's about 50 now, so.
Yeah, it definitely goes fast in headless mode, and
yes,
I think that what else we would advise in this particular case is just take a look on my side. So 1 second here.
So we're gonna switch. I think that this screen is a bit more friendly to our eyes, less.
Yeah, definitely. A number of test caption memory parameters should be set to 1 or 0 in this particular case. It's going to consume a lot of RAM memory. So when you're doing such, let's say, high high volume of iterations, you should definitely, at least in UI mode, you should really disable um, the test kept in memory value. It should be as minimal as possible, and you just have the results in nice output, nice report afterward, nice coverage, 100% coverage of all the input data you're looking into. And this can grow, right? This can grow in several flows. If your flow is more complex, you can extend it in different directions. And
Yes.
Sebastian wrote something, and just dynamic testing still have so much rejections in the community. Well, yes. I mean, that's one of the topic we're going to discuss it as well. Yes, it has, because it's not that creative as much, let's say. You know, I think that's on a personal level when you're developing a particular test case or user scenario or some flow, whatever you're doing in your QA career. Sometimes you're facing some, very creative or some challenges that requires very creative solutions, and you feel good about when you overcome such a challenges. And for this, there is not much of that, unfortunately. It is this straightforward, and combined with Cypress, it is that easy, which is good for us as consulting agency. We like those straightforward solutions, right? Where we can say, hey, here's the yeah, we're trying to get the coverage. And the thing is that we're trying to use the data that are from the production databases as much as possible. So our results and our test results are as realistic as possible, not the one that not inventing new test data and stuff, but controlling the testing through data is a particular way of doing things. And I think having only test-driven test cases doesn't bring that much value. It needs to be combined with other test approaches within your with your QA solution, QA management solution, or even automation strategy. So it needs to be for a solution for a right problem. You cannot do everything with this. You shouldn't do everything with this or with other approaches and stuff. But the things that you mentioned, that Dan mentioned, I think that this is the right answer to that question. With a finite list, with a relatively static list of things, settings, countries, something that is rarely changed or even frequently, but for the regression purposes in a particular way.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that you mentioned is coverage. In this particular case, we basically, in a very short time and just a few lines of code, we have 100% coverage. So I think that everyone likes to hear that. And the more coverage, the more you feel safe, the more confidence you have.
Yeah. For this particular way, I think, like mentioned before, right solution for the problem. For some other problems, this wouldn't be. But this is also cost effective in a way of, like you said, in development time. So it doesn't require a lot of development time. There is no customization, really. There is nothing custom in this approach. It's very straightforward. It's a test setup, one test setup, right? There is a test data coming from source of truth, whatever that may be. Like you said, at some point, we may pull the latest version via API, or not via API within the test, but in before, let's say, before the test starts, we can download the latest version of the test data. And there's like test setup, test data, a loop, and two assertions. It's a no-brainer. And it can be used for many things, like wherever you find a good thing, it's easy to do, easy to achieve. Still, I think brings a lot of value to your QA strategy, automation strategy in particular.
I agree. We can go back maybe a bit to our slides, and the next would be Q&A, which we, I guess, have already started with Sebastian. If anyone wants to join in, this would be the time.
You are the victim of your own success. You are too good at this live demo coding thing. I mean, too fast. I thought we're gonna spend a lot more time on it, but
I did as well. But Cursor tricked me into doing most of the work for me. So Cursor, I guess, is a blessing and a curse at the same time.
let's see. Oh. Sebastian said we could even make it more robust if we add API testing that compare the responses of the service called in the front end with the static test. Yes, sure. You can combine it with API level testing. Why not? If I got your intent right, and I mean, that's where another level of ingenuity and creativity comes in, right? How to have one source of truth being the data that are driving the tests, not driving just one test or one set of tests, but also driving a whole vertical of different tests, end-to-end tests, API tests, database tests, whatever you need. Yeah, that too. We just shine some more ideas on topic. I think Ronald or Jada, I guess, from Cypress are still with us. I think there will be recordings of this session available later on.
Yeah, from what we know, I think that in several weeks, all the sessions should be available on video, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh yeah, early November. So yeah, that's
probably like that. Regarding our main about the Curtain website, we're gonna play around with the practice page. We're gonna try to put as many examples as we come across, as we resolve and solve through our daily work. Unfortunately, most of it is under NDA, so we need to be creative when we're mocking the problem and then applying the exact same solution that we actually applied. So I expect this practice page is going to grow. Eventually, they'll be called something else. But feel free to check in with us at, I don't know, in a few weeks' time. Maybe there will be some more examples, or just shoot some emails or connect here to both of us and the rest of the guys from Assert QA. Maybe you have some ideas we can also resolve. You can reach us on the Discord even. We're there on the Cypress Discord, Cypress community run by Ronald.
And on Slack as well. And on Slack as well.
Yeah, sure.
Wicked kitty for
Yes.
Maybe we can try. Sebastian, you just gave him an idea. I mean, I'm a bit scared when he gets ideas. So, but jokes aside, we're trying to not just have a simple website that advertises us, but also have something that actually helps people learn and develop their own skills and provokes their thoughts into some ideas that maybe they didn't really need before, but might need in the future, depending on what project you land on. Obviously, it's time consuming, and as Marko said, mocking everything, it takes time and it takes energy.
Oh, we're gonna prepare better for next year, definitely. More examples and more things. So we were really on a short notice here. So apologies to all of you, and thank you for once again for joining. And it was like, I'm not sure what the phrase in English was, but was really like, we need to demo something real fast, something interesting. Otherwise, So, Sebastian, the rest of the guys, everybody else, thank you all for joining. Arina, thank you. We've seen some things, and we want to share with everybody, and we're working on that, but it's slow, and hopefully there will be more interesting things coming.
And from my side, thank you as well. This is my first time at the Cypress conference presenting, so there was a little bit of me being scared, but hopefully I got through it and you guys saw or heard something that's interesting to you, maybe learned something new, maybe got a new idea. As Marko said, if you want, feel free to connect with us, email, Slack, Discord, whatever you like. We'll work on that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for having us.
Thank you all. Have a great time, and talk to you soon or connecting with you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.